First question. After some reading, I found that you produced most of your early music in your bedroom. Tell me what your bedroom looks like. Is it a small studio with New Kids on the Block and Samantha Fox posters on the wall, or an old Korg and perhaps an iMac to record it all on, or is it something a little more decked out?
I actually don't record the music in my bedroom. I record it in my studio, which is next to my bedroom. And it came from quite humble beginnings, and now the studio is pretty kitted out with like a 52-inch screen and some pretty nice speakers and stuff. So yeah, it was once quite rubbish, and now it's pretty good.
You have an incredible knack for melody. The chorus of Three Little Words gives me goosebumps. I love it. Songwriters come in all different shapes and sizes. What kind are you? Do you dream up the melody first and then the lyrics, or vice versa? Or do you start out with a sound, a concept, and then it all comes from there?
To make most of my music, it depends. I could sometimes get into the production. I think the production's like the thing that inspires me to write the song. If the production isn't sort of exciting, then it doesn't matter how good the song is, because I believe that you've got to have quite cutting edge sort of music to start with, and then the song can come afterwards.
It seems to me that you want to make it high up the charts in the UK. You need to have the support of gay fans. How important is it for you to connect with gay fans? Are you planning on playing GAY? Feel free to speak freely. Arjan Writes has lots of gay readers, lol.
I think the gay community is as important as any other community. I haven't pinpointed any specific markets to try and exploit. I think the most important thing for me is making sure that whoever does listen to my music feels that they can get it whenever they want, get into me and as much of my music as possible. The gay community are really supportive and have been. I've worked with quite a few gay acts, and but you know, being gay or straight, it doesn't mean anything to me really, as long as I've just got my fans.
80s music has been making such a comeback over the last couple of years. After a decade of grunge and rap, the 80s are super cool again. Are you a kid of the 80s? What does 80s music represent to you?
Well, you see, a lot of problem with the 80s is people had this kind of. People have tried to bring back the 80s, but they've always just brought back like the naff bits or the bits that people didn't need, like guitars, and it's just all a little bit cliche. I think what I've tried to do is bring back the bits that I felt were important, like making unashamedly pop music, but then doing it however you want to do it, sort of bit with electronic music in my case, and it seems to be working out for me quite nicely.
While on the topic of musical influences, what are some artists that inspire you?
Artists that inspire me would go from people like Daft Punk, probably one of my initial inspirations, to people like Lil Wayne now, kind of not his latest album but the previous stuff before that. I like the way in which people market their music and use the internet and embrace the internet, and I think anyone who does that is an inspiration to me and what I do.
You said you said in an interview with ITN that living the real life inspires your music. What did you mean by that? Are you a kid from the street who saw not so nice things that compelled you to share via music?
When I referred to living the real life, I meant the songs didn't just come out of thin air. The songs were made from experience. I think that's probably what I meant to say. Anything that I write has generally come from something that's happened to me, and I think it's very important to make the music real and truthful rather than made up, because that's a problem with a lot of commercial pop music. It is generally just fluff, and I think that's something I want to avoid.
Much has been written about your work with Stuart Price. How did this collaboration come about? What is one thing about Stuart no one really knows you're willing to reveal? Does he have certain idiosyncrasies, like drinking lots of iced tea before hitting the soundboard, or working only productively very late at night? Do share.
I will continue the veil of secrecy for Stuart. I think there's many things about Stuart that is wonderful, and there's many things that I could never ever fault him on. I'd be the first to say that he's very hardworking, and however much success and fame he could have had, he's always stuck to his guns and merely worked on what he wants to work on, and there's no ego. There's nothing in which you feel that you're talking to someone anything less than who you are yourself, which is a great sort of thing to have as a person.
What did Stuart Price add to your sound?
The good thing about Stuart's involvement in the album is the fact that he did only add rather than completely produce. So it was a combination of us working together on the record. Instead of him doing the whole thing, we bounced off each other. It was a great way of making sure that I still got what I wanted and Stuart was able to sort of produce a record that was still sort of had a pop sensibility to it.
This is a thought that always nags me. When you use a lot of electronics to produce music, you can continue refining a song till the end of time. How do you know when a song is done? When I asked Milo this same question, he told me it was the record label's deadline that told him to stop. How does this work for you?
I can kind of see where Milo was coming from when, he said about the record label and the deadline. The thing about art, whether it be in music or actual art itself, is knowing when to stop. And that's an art in itself, and that's probably what defines art. So, for me, knowing when to stop is, I think, when I know that I've got a song, and I know that I'm happy with the production, and everyone's happy, not just me, but the label, the people who have helped me on the record, and that's when we stop, not just a deadline, because deadlines can always be pushed back if the song's worth waiting for.
It seems that music, radio, MTV and bloggers are always looking for the next new hot thing. After Mika and Sam Sparrow, are you that next hot thing? How do you feel about being singled out like that, and where do you hope that spotlight will take you?
Well, I don't feel I've, at this point, been spotlighted yet. I've had more comparisons to Calvin Harris as a sort of a English male, self-produced sort of pop act. Mika and Sam Sparrow are very different to me in lots of respects that other people wouldn't know about. I'm a musician and I can see all the differences all the time. I'm okay with the similarity being made. They're both very successful. I think the main thing for me is just continuing to focus on what I'm doing, whether I'm being compared to Britney Spears or whoever, Bruce Springsteen. I just would like to just carry on doing what I'm doing. If people like it, then good.
There's a fun little video floating on YouTube of you beatboxing. You're a natural. And one of Frankmusik, Justin Timberlake beatbox off. Are you ready to challenge the mighty Timberlake?
There's nothing mighty about Timberlake's beatboxing. The battle is on.
Your musical goodness is paired with an excellent sense of style. Do you have stylists help you out with the funky clothes, or do you throw it together casually by yourself? Do you have any styling tips for the handsome gents we're using Arjan rights?
I've had help in certain areas on a couple of photo shoots and a couple of video shoots with what I wear. I think the label have finally realised that it's a bit of a waste of money, because I generally do just dress sort of interesting or well. I take a lot of pride in how I look and always want to look different. Not in a kind of obvious way, but just tweaks here and there. And I think you should do what you feel most comfortable with, whoever you are, and never bend to conformist ways. So there.